It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hello, friends! Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Lee Sanders with you guys for this edition of the RCWR show this Monday night of August 21st, 2023. What's up, y'all? I hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. I hope it was nice and relaxful. And I know there are many of you guys, shout out to our younger listeners out there. I know a lot of you guys had began your jumpstart to the week going back to school. They're back. I'm just picturing that traditional, what is it? Is it Office Depot or was it Staples? They had the dad who was so happy that his kids were going back to school. You know the commercial I'm talking about. They air it for years upon years, although I gotta admit, I don't think they've aired it the past 2, maybe 3 years now. I could be wrong, at least in my neck of the woods. Maybe they've been airing it in your neck of the woods. Let me know. But you know the one I'm talking about, they've got the dad. He's so happy that the kids are going back to school, and he's got the staplers. He's just throwing them in the cart. He's got the crayons. He's got the composition notebooks. And there's a brother and a sister. They are probably maybe 10 and 8. They're just standing there. They've got this ghostly look on their face. They look so perturbed at their dad because out of the 3 of them, the dad is the one that is extremely excited over the fact that the kids are going back to school and everything. So over here in the DC metropolitan area, it really just depends on the county and everything. If I'm not mistaken, DC kids, I believe if they're not back in school as of Monday, today, I believe they're definitely going to be going back next week. A lot of counties in Maryland is all going to be starting up next week. Some areas in Virginia had already got their head start today, but it's kind of like the same deal, maybe next week, or I know definitely after we get done with the Labor Day holiday, everybody will be back in full effect. So for me, to the point, my fall semester classes starts next week. So it was funny because I mentioned the whole Staples commercial and everything, and I was out running errands today with the wifey, and she says to me, you know, when we got to our final destination, we were doing some grocery shopping. She goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, you got everything you need? What are you talking about for next week?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Classes." I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean?" "Well, you know, supplies. Do you need pens? Do you need pencils?" And I said to her, "Well, if anything, maybe I need some mechanical pencils so I can do a little bit of erasing here and there." "What about a composition notebook?" "I got a little spiral notebook. I've got my laptop. I've got my iPad. So if I need to do any type of notes, I can easily just whip that bad boy open and do my thing." "What about a new backpack?" I'm like, "Huh?" "Yeah, a new backpack." It's like, I just got a backpack. I got the coolest backpack. I'm trying to figure out, and sadly it's not in here. There is one in here, but that is my travel equipment bag whenever I'm on field, need to do some type of reporting or filming. I've got that bag, but there's a new bag that I had bought several weeks back. It's a thermal bag, but it serves, it can do a lot of things. It can serve as a thermal bag to keep your stuff cold or hot, But you can also use it if you want to maybe put a couple of books in there, things of that nature. You can do that as well. So I'm like, well, we already got a bag that's in the house. And she's like, you sure you want to use that? I'm like, it's not going to be heavy duty like that. It's only going to be for just 2, maybe 3 to 4 books max. So yeah, I'm good to go and everything. So I got a nice little chuckle when I was thinking about that, the dad at the Staples commercial and all that. And here I am. I got to make sure that I got everything that I need and everything. I'm excited though. I'm excited for the classes that's going to be starting up next week. And this is going to be my first time since I've returned to college a couple of years back. This is going to be my first time for this respected semester. I'm a little nervous thinking about it. I hope everything is going to be okay because, as some of you guys know, we got that new strand of COVID that's running around, and I'm watching that very, very closely. I know many of you guys are watching that very closely as well, and all we can do at this point is just continue to live our lives as we have been in confidence and just making sure that we're staying on top of our boosters and everything. But you just can't help but watch that new strand that's running around with a very close eye and everything. I'm just knocking on wood, praying for the best and everything. But this is going to be my first time since I've made the decision a couple of years back to return to college, resume my education in broadcast journalism, that I'm going to be actually physically going on campus for a couple of my classes. I'm not doing all my classes on campus, but they're, I tried because, Tams will tell you, I'm the type of person, if I can do what I need to do remotely, hey, great. If I can help it, right? If I can just have it my way and everything is remote, I will do it remote. I'll do everything online unless I absolutely have to. So the fact that there were 2 classes, there's just no way, and I understand it because the 2 classes that I'm signed up for, it includes a lab, and basically one of them, it's a television production studio lab, so you get the personal hands-on experience and operating the cameras and all of that stuff. And then there's another one that deals with radio, so behind the scenes, you get to mess with the switchboard and all of that good stuff. So I think maybe there's one other class. I gotta double check and make sure, but I could have sworn maybe there was one more class. It has to do with theater. I could be wrong. It has to do with theater. I could be wrong, but I think that one is going to be a in-person class as well. So yeah, I'm excited though. Despite everything, I'm excited. I still got to make sure that as far as parking stickers go and all that, since I'm going to be a student on campus and everything, got to make sure I'll be all right for that, things of that nature. So I'm pretty excited, but I'm really excited for the simple fact that this semester that's coming up, once I get done with this, if everything goes down the way that I am hoping that it plays out, and I just knock it out of the park with these classes, grand total, that's going to be 17 credits. So essentially 17 credits added on top of what I've already accumulated thus far. When it's all said and done, I will only need about close to 10 credits. It's probably way less than that, but I'm probably going to need about less than 10 credits max. So, that is essentially like 4 more classes, and then I'm done. I'll have my degree. Family is going, what's next? What are you going to do after you get the degree? I'm going, well, I'm going to obviously transfer to a 4-year. They're like, you sure about that? Like, yeah, I want to transfer to a 4-year. I want the bragging rights. So I've got the list down to 3 that I'm very interested in going to, if they'll have me and everything. So, keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that everything plays out and everything. Hey, you guys remember a couple of weeks ago I had said to you all how I had lost my wallet? I don't know if I did a follow-up on that, but just to recap for you guys, and if I were to try to remember which episode it was that I had talked about losing my wallet and everything, I would actually need to just look at the recent handful of shows. I know it was within the last maybe 5 shows, give or take. By the way, you're checking out episode number 1044, 1044. That's episode 1044 of the RCWR show. We've got episode 1050 right around the corner. I have no clue just yet as far as how we're going to be doing episode 1050. I have no idea how we're going to be doing that right now. I have a few ideas. There's actually one really cool idea that I have in mind that I'm thinking about doing. It's for a charitable cause. I want to try to see if maybe friends of the show would be interested in doing something. But I'm going to keep that under wraps for now. But that was episode number 1041. For those of you that you're trying to figure out, wait a minute, you lost your wallet, go back to episode number 1041. I talked about it at the very beginning of the show and everything when I was talking about how my weekend had went and everything. So this would have been during the first week of August. That respected episode had dropped and everything. But so I'm not going to go over the whole spiel again. But yeah, long story short, I had lost my wallet. So my wife had took the liberty of ordering me a brand new wallet. I go online, I get in contact with the Social Security Administration, give them the heads up, trying to see if they'll approve me for getting a free copy of a SS card in the mail and everything, in which I was approved. And they're like, okay, allow 3 to 4 weeks to be sent to your mailbox, yada, 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 yakety smackety. So get that. Get in contact with my banks and tell them what happened, and they're like, okay, Mr. Sanders, new card's being mailed out to you, don't sweat it, right? Whole 9 yards. Okay, here's where it gets hilarious. So that episode had dropped on a Monday because everything had transpired, losing that wallet that Sunday that went past and everything, right? So it wasn't until I would say, I want to say it was either Wednesday or Thursday. So just a couple of days later, I'm kicking back. Matter of fact, you know what? Matter of fact, it was Thursday. It was Thursday morning. So I'm kicking back. I'm getting a little bit of a late start kicking off my day on Thursday because the day prior I had a rough night and everything. So I'm trying to sleep in just a little bit, trying to get an extra little bit more sleep. And Tabs wakes me up and she goes, baby, guess what? I go, what? And she hands me this dark brown thing, right? Keep in mind, she woke me up. So my vision is kind of fuzzy and I'm trying to get my bearings together and everything. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Look. She's like, look. My eyes are finally starting to focus. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. And finally, she tilts it the other way, sticks my hand out, and puts it in. It was my wallet. And I go, where the hell did you find this? And she goes, you know how you get ready to go into the basement, do laundry? Like, yeah. You know how you first open the door, and there's that little emergency hook rack we have where we have the duplicates for the car keys? I go, yeah. Well, it was right there on the little ledge part right before you hook the keys on. Like, are you serious? She goes, yes. I go, are you serious? She goes, yes. So we did all that. We did all that, running around, making the phone calls, trying to retrace the steps. The whole 9 yards. We did all of that, and it turns out it was in the house the entire time. Is that crazy, or is that crazy, folks? If that doesn't give you a chuckle, okay? Seriously, if that doesn't give you a chuckle, I don't know what will. So I'm still pushing the fanny pack, though. I actually have the fanny pack. I know I had said to you guys I was going to show it to you all next time I got an opportunity. And this is how the bad boy looks. I apologize for our audio listeners out there, but I'll do as best as a description as I possibly can. But if you want to check out the video timestamp, just go to the 16-minute mark and you can see me holding it. This is the fanny pack that I had got on Amazon at the time for about $12, and I expedited this. I went on ahead and I said, okay, it's $12, but I can use this as quick as humanly possible. And so I had paid an extra $2 to try to get this sent to me overnight. So basically, when I initially placed the order, I was hoping that I could get it that very next day, and I was able to get it that very next day. And this thing, I cannot stress it enough. If you're a big boy like me, look, I'm not getting paid. I'm not doing no use my Amazon referral link, and I probably should, but I'm not doing all of that. But I am not a paid sponsor for this product in any type of way. I love this bad boy. I've had this now for 2 weeks, okay? And look, if you're a big boy like me, you're a big-bodied person like me, so shout out to my ladies out there as well. And you need something that is very convenient for you, and you can just, where you're trying to store some personal hygiene products, maybe put a little bit of medicine in there, your ID, your wallet, car keys, what have you, okay? Maybe you want to put a snack in there as well. This thing is so roomy. It's not even funny. And the best part that I like about this, you get not one compartment, not two compartments, not even three compartments. You get 4 compartments. Okay, so how I do this, I'll just demonstrate how I'm pushing mine right now. So this very first compartment that you guys see, this very first out front compartment that you guys see, I have in there nothing but my car keys. That's it. Nothing but my car keys. That's it. And then in my second compartment, I have my my parking sticker tag. Because certain places where I park, I got to make sure that my tag is visible and everything, so they know not to mess with that vehicle and everything. So I'll have that. And sometimes, I'll have just my debit card, whatever debit card I'm typically going to out of the entire month, or a credit card. I'll just have that in that second compartment. And then in my third compartment, I've got my main wallet, and then I've got my license and registration. Okay, I've got my license and registration, and I'll even put my retainers in here as well. My Invisalign retainers. I have all that in there. Look at that. I mean, and that's my favorite compartment too, because that is the most roomy. But I try to do my best not to over cram it. I just want to be able to get what I need to grab and keep it moving along. I'll also sometimes put my AirPods in there as well, but it's very rare. Right now, I'm not doing anything with the fourth compartment, which is pretty much the first compartment that's up against your stomach. I'm not doing anything with that right now. I had tried, and you'll find it a little bit challenging as well. I think even for a skinny person, you'll be like, it's really kind of difficult to go back to that first compartment. Let me not really mess around with that. But if you need it, that is there as well. But you'll definitely find yourself messing around with the first 3 compartments for sure. So I love it, and I mean, you can't beat it for $12. For $12, it's extremely durable. I highly recommend it. What I'll do for you guys is put a link. I had everything pre-made already. Probably the only thing I didn't do, because I didn't know I was going to talk about it at this great length, about the fanny pack and all that, I will circle back. And for you guys checking out the video version of the show, when you all come around to watching it around your usual time for on demand, the timestamp will be in the episode description. So if you look, you'll be able to find it that way. And then for our audio listeners, you want to check it out, I'll have a link included for you guys, so you can all check it out that way. Also, it had just slipped out of the fanny pack here. I want to at least show you guys the new wallet that wifey had got for me, because I thought this was just really, really cool. and I don't have the old one. I didn't throw the old one away, but the old one is downstairs on my kitchen table right now. But if you go to the X page / Twitter, if you go there, you'll get an idea of how the old one had looked and everything. But wifey had gave me this brand new wallet, and if this image looks familiar to you guys, it should look familiar, especially if you're a long-time listener. This is actually a print version outline of what they had took from our wedding day. You know, after we had got married and we were taking pictures and all that. This is from when we went back to our nice condo in North Carolina for drink, cake, and nice little reception that we had afterwards. It was really, really cool. And she's got this great inscription on the back of it that she put, 12 years down and forever to go. The journey is the reward, my love. Love, your wife, Mrs. Sanders. And I mean, that just made me pop big time. And I was like, oh, babe, like, you shouldn't have. Like, that's really, really cool. Thank you. So, she was asking me, she said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now that you got 2 wallets? I'm going to use both of them. He's like, are you sure? Like, yeah, I still like the old one. And we both agreed that as far as the way this was printed, and sadly video does not do it justice. It really does not do it justice. But if I were to show you the old wallet, they did a better job printing on this wallet in my hand right now as opposed to what they did with the old one, because the old one, there was just a lot of shadowing that was going on in that one. It was good, but there was just a lot of shadowing that was happening in that one. So I almost feel bad that I'm using this wallet. I do, because the design and all that is just, it's so freaking cool and all that. But yeah, so check it out. I'll have the links for the fanny pack after I get done with the show for you guys, and y'all can check it out that way. And until next go around, wishing all of y'all to be safe. And I'm kidding. Come on, you really think I'm gonna spend over 20 something minutes and we're gonna be done that? No. We're definitely gonna be talking some wrestling. We'll talk some non-wrestling as well. Gotta give some happy belated birthday shout outs as well. All that good stuff. Look, let's talk a little bit about Raw, man. So once again, they were out there in the Canada area. Good old Canada. They were out there. Where were they? Quebec City. They were out there. We had Sami Zayn, who kicked off tonight's Raw. Huge pop from the crowd. I mean, he got the Cody Rhodes Rockstar ovation tonight. That crowd was letting him hear it. It was one hell of a pop. They were treating him a combination of Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. That's exactly how they were doing our boy Sami Zayn tonight. I loved it. I freaking loved it. At Judgment Day, interrupting the festivities and everything, they come out there. It looks like it's about to be a brutal 4-on-1 beatdown when all of a sudden Kevin Owens finally making his triumphant return, getting a great huge pop as well. I loved it. He clocked the hell out of Dominic Mysterio, who tried gunning for him first. Now, can we go back to Kevin Owens for just a quick second? It's funny because I remember bringing up Kevin Owens, if not last week, definitely the week before, and I remember saying to you guys, hey, I find it kind of interesting that all the usual suspects out there are not reporting what's going on with the current status of Kevin Owens, as far as what is he up to? Why have we not seen him on TV these past couple of weeks? And if you remember, I said to you guys, look, I don't think that the man is dealing with any type of injury. I don't think there's any type of contract issues whatsoever. I just feel, honestly, deep down in my guts is telling me that this is just that time of the year where he likes to take a couple of weeks off, but that he'll be back. If you remember, I said he should be back by the WWE Payback pay-per-view. I would be shocked. Remember, I said that. I'd be shocked if he wasn't back by WWE's next pay-per-view. Because otherwise, if you have Kevin Owens miss that pay-per-view, then obviously you're going to have to address what's going on with his status. Obviously, you're going to have to address what's going on with the undisputed tag team titles and everything. So it was refreshing, to my whole point of bringing all of that up. It was refreshing to see Kevin Owens back on the saddle again and everything, looking better than ever, looking even more trimmed up, still a big body dude, but definitely looking more trimmed up and everything. Love how Finn Balor tried to go and get the jump there on Sammy, but KO coming in there just in time, setting them up for a freaking stunner and everything. Damian Priest getting owned as well. KO, Sammy putting the challenge out there. Yo, we'll face you guys later on in the night, Judgment Day versus KO. Sammy, like, okay, all right, cool. We can definitely throw down just like that. Let's do it just like that. So I love how you opened up the show. And I love the fact that the way you ended the show with those respective parties. I thought that was a very, very smart move. New Day taking on Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre. These guys are continuing to be a team. Very weird. On the one hand, and here's how it's weird for me. On the one hand, I look at the return of the New Day and Xavier Woods and Kofi, and I say, you know what? This is a nice change of pace, especially as far as quality of tag matches go and everything. You know that when New Day is on, you're going to see a pretty solid, decent tag match. And that's what definitely was delivered here tonight with all four of these guys. So we're still, to my point, in that honeymoon period with the New Day returning. It is still hey, not only is this a nice change of pace, but hey, this is a welcome breath of fresh air. The fact that Kofi and Xavier are back and everything. So I like that. I also like the fact that going into this match, we had a little bit of nitpicking going on here from New Day, as they were saying to Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle, you guys are not even a real tag team. You guys are just basically, you feel me? It's one of those type of deals where just imagine if after the Beatles broke up way before John Lennon had passed away, just imagine if some scenario comes about where, I don't know, I'm just going with the first name that is just in my head. Just imagine if B.B. King went up to John Lennon and basically was like, you, me, and Lucille, we should go on ahead and form a new band. Who needs the Beatles? Like, we'll be just fine. I think we should make a band. And it's kind of one of those, how does that make any sense? Like, it'd be one thing if John Lennon and B.B. King were, they stumbled upon each other and then they went to each other's house over the next course of several months and they were jamming together, and out of that jam session they had reached out to some local players, and the next thing you know, that's right, that'd be one thing, right? So you're seeing how Riddle is just, what Riddle is reminding me of right now, and I think DJ is actually gonna love this now that I'm thinking about this. DJ, I gotta know what you think about this. Let me know. DJ's our guy that's behind the scenes. He's been doing a phenomenal job uploading key pieces from the show each and every single week. Now, I actually, if you notice on the YouTube channel, we didn't have any excerpts put up going into the weekend. That was because I was enjoying a nice little mini break. I'll tell you guys more about that after the Raw recap. But you know who Riddle reminds me of? And I find it so funny that I'm mentioning this because I literally saw the movie yesterday. So that would have been That would have been Sunday for sure. Yeah, Sunday afternoon, I had saw the movie, and I only ended up watching it because after AEW Collision was over, shout out if you guys stuck around on TNT like I did, I ended up watching Avengers Infinity War for the second time. Avengers Infinity War. I ended up watching it for the second time in history. The first time I ever saw it, it was in theaters. So yes, your man actually sat through all the commercials on TNT. Now, before anybody says, dude, you can just watch it on Disney Plus, I haven't had a Disney Plus subscription in a couple of months, okay? So I'm kicking back. I'm going, well, nothing else is on my TV. I tried to find whatever preseason football I could find, and what was available I didn't care about. So I ended up spending, what was that, from 10 o'clock until... Let me see, because Collision was 8 to 10, and I believe in Infinity War didn't go off until 1, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was kicking back all those commercial breaks. I sat there. I just had my tablet, playing my little game, watching Infinity War and everything. And then going into Sunday, I ended up watching, first time ever, I ended up watching, actually, you know what? Forgive me. I do have Disney Plus. Yeah, oh my God, I'm so blanking out right now. No, I do have Disney Plus, but it was just a case where I did not mind watching the TV, I didn't mind watching TNT through all those commercials. But no, I ended up watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Stay with me, because it might seem like I'm a little bit off track, but I actually am, because we're talking about Riddle here. Riddle reminds me of Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Now, anybody that has not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 yet, I won't spoil it for you, but what I will say, just to touch upon the Star-Lord character, and my interpretation of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 this go round, I would say this is all about discovering self and the resolution that comes from it. Okay, whether the journey was of conflict or of betrayal or hatred, whatever, fill in the blank. I look at Volume 3 as this is a movie about self-discovery. And in regards to Star-Lord, the seeds were planted in Part 1, it continued on in Part 2 and everything, but you always felt that Star-Lord was running away from something or someone. Maybe that be his past. It's up to your interpretation and everything. Star-Lord never, when you really think about it, Star-Lord was always clinging on to something. Okay? And it's obvious why, because of what happened to him at such a young age, losing his mother and all of that, and trying to find the next thing to cling on to and everything. But it's affected him so much going into adulthood that he's never put himself in a position where it's just, you know what, man, before you get ready to jump into another relationship, why don't you just kick back, take care of you first, get your house in order. That way, once you do get it in order, you can then be a better friend, a better confidant, a better spouse, a better brother, uncle, right, to XYZ. Okay? I'm looking at Riddle right now, and I'm just going, dude, we have seen you with every time we see you, if you're not with Orton, you're with this person. And if you're not with this person, you're trying to mosey on up to this person to see if maybe they'll team with you. And if you're not trying that, you're doing this. And, he's just coming off as a leecher when it's all said and done. And I'm just ready to see Riddle go, okay, you know what? Randy Orton, that will always be my boy and everything, and whenever he decides he wants to come on back and entertain the WWE fans and everything, whenever he decides he wants to reform RK Bro, I am definitely going to be here if he's ever looking for a tag partner. But you know what, man? Everything that I've accomplished outside of WWE, and I've had my trials, I've had my tribulations and everything, but from this moment going forward, I am all about singles competition. I am all about capturing singles gold. That's what's going on with me right now. I just wish we could see Riddle get back to, you know, some inkling of that, rather than just, hey, I'm gonna, hey, buddy boy, how you doing? How you doing? You want to tag? What's up? You, me, huh? What do you say? Huh? Want to do it? I just want for this guy to go on a self-discovery, and that would just be. So I'm finding this whole thing with Drew McIntyre, to my whole point, I'm finding this most intriguing, because I'm wondering, where is this going to go? Are we ultimately going to see Drew turn heel, and he's going to turn on Riddle, and thus in the process, this is how you're able to get, hey, that guy, he don't mean no harm. He didn't mean any harm. Why you doing that to the poor guy? This way we can get him and establish him even better as a babyface. That way you have even more options and everything. Are we going to hopefully go in that direction? Or I'm just curious what WWE sees happening here, particularly with Riddle and Drew, because I would hate for it to just be, well, you aren't doing anything, and the guy over here and Drew, he ain't doing anything. And you've heard me say a couple of times now, off and on over the years, make no mistake about it, Drew McIntyre, he's got a couple of more runs as a WWE champion before all is said and done. I've gone on record and said that man has at least 3 more WWE World Heavyweight title runs in him. Bank on that. So I'm looking at this period of the unknown right now with these guys, and just trying to, you know, make sense of, I'm trying to enjoy the ride, like many of you, but I'm just scratching my head going, where are we going with this? Where are we taking this? Because again, to the point that New Day had made earlier to them leading up to this match, you guys aren't a real tag team. Come on now, what's going on here? You're not a real tag team. So the fact that New Day actually was able to defeat them, that was a great touch as well, because that definitely gives validity to that argument that New Day was making. Okay, so now what's gonna come from out of this? Are we maybe gonna see Riddle over the next couple of weeks? Hey, Drew, you know, we should have had those guys, but, you know, they had our number. And, you know, something that Kofi and them had said, which was a very valid point, you know, hey, we got to get on the same page. You know, maybe they're right about us not being a real tag team. We definitely need to work on building up synergy and everything. And I figured out some cool ways that we could build upon that synergy. And I can just see Drew McIntyre being one of those guys. Look, man, I'm not going to do that. I'm there for you, but I'm not going to do that. I can see him, you know. I said, maybe you're going to be the one that saves me. 'Cause after all, you're my wonder wall. You know, I'm just picturing Drew McIntyre singing really, really bad hit songs. Don't mind me right now. But that's how I'm picturing things go down with them over these courses of the next several weeks. It's just the whole synergy thing. And are they maybe going to be able to get on the same page? We'll have to wait and see how that comes about. Post-match, Viking Raiders come to the ring. Gets in there, a nice headbutt to Eric, knocks him down. Ivar attacks. He gets a spine buster from Drew. Clothesline to Ivar, sending him out of the ring and everything. It was a nice little joint right there. So nice that we got Viking Raiders thrown back into the mix as well and everything. Next up, we saw Jackie chatting it up with J.D. McDonough, who is accompanied by Finn Balor. And Jackie asks if there's tension between him and the Judgment Day. Balor says that he hopes J.D. says that he hopes his association with Finn, if anything, will make the Judgment Day stronger. Finn added on to that, saying that last week Judgment Day handled Sammy with help of JD. So, hey, you know what? Who knows? Rhea Ripley comes in there, says, hey, look, we got to talk. We need you. She actually holds JD back, saying, sorry, but this is Judgment Day business, so Judgment Day members only. JD looking at Finn giving that nod of approval. It was what it was right there. Next up takes us to our Intercontinental Championship match. If there's one match I would recommend you go out of your way to check out, assuming you've got this week's Raw on your DVR, or you'll be able to catch up on it on demand, would definitely recommend you sit through the entire Intercontinental Championship match as Gunther defended against our boy Chad Gable. And speaking of Chad Gable, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. I hate that, but I just, every time I think about Chad Gable, my mind always goes to Kurt Angle. We've got a trailer that had premiered tonight during the Raw broadcast of the Kurt Angle documentary that'll be premiering on Peacock. I believe that will be premiering next Monday, if I'm not mistaken. If you give me a second, I'll go on the X Twitter real quick and I'll make sure that I have that information right for you guys. I'm trying to see if it's but that doc, it looks badass. You got Kurt Angle in there, Stone Cold Steve Austin is in there as well. I believe I saw Taker in there. I hope they got Brock in there. I really hope that they have some stuff from Brock Lesnar. But Kurt Angle getting his own Peacock documentary, that documentary just looked so badass. I am looking forward to checking that out and reviewing it for you guys. I'm trying to see if I can get the official premiere date. I believe I read the information right as far as the doc goes and everything. So it seems like with that trailer, the way that they did that trailer, it seems that no stone is going to be left unturned. So for those of you that had really enjoyed that Cody Rhodes documentary, and I know we had spent several minutes talking about that documentary and everything, it seems like this Kurt Angle doc is following in those same footsteps of the Cody Rhodes doc. So I'm looking forward to checking it out, reviewing it for you guys and everything. It's interesting. I only see but a handful of people that's talking about the documentary when I put in keywords such as Kurt Angle doc, but I'm not seeing. Yeah, here we go. I finally found something. Yeah, the documentary is going to be premiering. I found a link here. Shout out to the people over at, who is this? Looks like something called Silk. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. But yeah, it was confirmed on tonight's edition of WWE RAW, the trailer for Angle, documentary on WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle. And that documentary is set to debut on Peacock September 3rd. Again, September 3rd. So, nice way to go into your Labor Day holiday weekend. So, for those of you that aren't going to, be able to remember that, have no fear. You guys will be all right. I know myself and others in the podcasting world will definitely remind you and everything. But yeah, every time I look at Chad Gable, because I'm waiting for them to take Chad Gable and go that Kurt Angle route and everything. I like what they've been doing with him thus far and everything. And I tell you what, the match that he had tonight, so my whole point of bringing all of this up, if ever, you should definitely strongly consider Chad Gable as, let's take this guy in a more serious tone. Let's take him in a more serious direction here. Let's get away from the comedic stuff. This match that he had against Gunther tonight, should definitely seal that deal. Okay, let's go. He's more than deserving. Let's freaking go there already. I love this match on so many levels. I loved it. I felt like I was watching, no bull. I felt like I was watching Chad Gable versus Brock Lesnar light to a certain degree. I know that's gonna raise some eyebrows, but tell me if I'm lying. Seriously, tell me if I'm having too much Applejack or something, man. But this was straight up pure freaking fun. The only thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was the finish, but I understood what they were trying to go for in regards to the finish, because in regards to the finish of the match, you basically just had Chad Gable and Gunther. They were fighting outside the ring and everything. Gunther ended up stopping mid-chop, sends Gable into the ring post, then tries to go for another chop, but Gable manages to duck it. Gunther chops the ring post. Referee, she's been counting this whole time. She's already at 7 and everything. Gable was able to pull off a German suplex over the barricade to Gunther, slides back in the ring in time. Ref was able to count to 10. Gable wins. But as we all know, a title cannot change hands on a count out and everything. So obviously these guys, they're going to go at it again. I would imagine at this point we're going to go at the pay-per-view, because the way this is looking right now, as far as the card goes for Payback, we've only got 3 matches that's been announced. And that pay-per-view is coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend it'll be going down. So you're looking at that and you're saying to yourself, all right, now we gotta shape this up already. So obviously Gunther, and look, it's a good formula. Might have been a bad finish. Some people might have not liked the finish to it. But hey, if it means we're going to see these two guys lock up again at the pay-per-view, I'm all fine for it. And remember, by Chad Gable being the one to do this, he is the one to have he has bestowed upon Gunther's first loss in a singles match since debuting. Doesn't get the IC title, but he gets the bragging rights of delivering to Gunther his first singles match defeat since debuting. So that's pretty damn good stuff right there. That's damn good stuff right there. Backstage, we saw Gunther, who was yelling big time at his lackeys in Giovanni Vici and Ludwig Kaiser, telling them that he's going to make it right. And Kaiser asks what he's going to do, and he doesn't say anything. He just pretty much walks away. I would imagine he probably went up to Adam Pearce and said, yo, WWE Payback, IC title on the line, give me a rematch against Chad Gable. I would imagine that was. So if you're going to watch Raw for this week, watch for that match. It's about 14, almost 15 minutes. Magnifico. That was a great punch. But then you get another great punch from the Shinsuke Nakamura promo that gets English subtitles as Nakamura is speaking in Japanese. I loved this segment. I don't care if this was not in front of the crowd. I said it on this show, if not last week, definitely the week before. Tell me if I'm lying. Go listen. But I said, yo, I am tired of WWE with the main 2 flagship shows in SmackDown and Raw. I am tired of them taking some of our favorites who, they're not speaking English as a first language, and their English is extremely broken and everything. And, hey, play to their strengths. Let them talk in their own native language, and we just get English subtitle. And I've even encouraged WWE, let the experience be different for those that's live in attendance, because you obviously are going to have those that's going to be live in attendance, that's going to be looking at the Titantron, and not everybody, even with glasses, is probably going to be able to read the English subtitle that's on the screen at the rate that they need to be reading it to follow along and everything. So just for the live audience experience, let them get a English voiceover actor speaking over Nakamura, who's talking in his native language. And for those of us at home, just give us the English subtitle. Hopefully for the live attendance crew, it'll get to that point. But I thought that what they did by having a pre-produced segment where Nakamura was talking in his native language. Okay, we don't have to worry about no what chants. We don't have to worry about crowds holding up some weird sign and and all that other. We can just get Nakamura in front of the camera. I've always felt Nakamura as a character very eccentric, very abstract, very, there is a calm madness, a calm insanity to this whole guy. And if you can get it just right, if you can get him in the right setting, it'll really shine through. And what they did tonight with Nakamura was brilliant on so many levels. I thought that this was one of his most well-produced, executed promos to date since he's been in the WWE. And they need to do more promos just like this. More promos just like this. The days of Nakamura being in the ring, trying to talk, that just needs to be over. If you are going to have Nakamura talk in the ring, it needs to be extremely, extremely, extremely brief. Let it be a scenario where he has some type of an advocate, whether it's Paul Heyman or throw whatever name you want to, Paul Ellering. Hell, Paul Ellering. Okay? But you got to have somebody be that guy that's the mouthpiece. Nakamura just mentions just a couple of lines. His translator can just jump out there, say XYZ. But I love this. So, Nakamura talked about the fact, and I love how this was set up, because you didn't have a Byron Saxton or Jackie or anybody holding a microphone up to his hand. Nah, you didn't have all of that. The way this looked, he had a nice blood red background that was behind him, and I thought that was pretty badass. And he's got the wet hair going on and everything, and I don't know if he was sitting on a stool or what. But I like the fact that, pretty much he was just right there with that blood red drop background. And he's got this sinister look on his face as he's kind of rocking back and forth, right? And he's letting you know what he said to Seth Rollins last week, as he says Seth acts like he has it all, but that he knows Seth. Furthermore, he knows Seth's weaknesses. And as far as what he whispered to Rollins, he said, I know about your back. And you're like, wait a minute, say what? And Nakamura goes into more details by revealing that Seth Rollins' back has been broken for many years, and as a result, Rollins is living in pain. This essentially has created a void that nothing can fill, as no matter how successful Rollins is, at the end of the day, when Rollins goes to hug his wife or he's hugging his kid, he's forever in pain. Every day of that man's life is filled with pain, and now his worst fears are coming true. And Nakamura, knows that he can break Rollins once and for all, because he has a void as well, and that they live by a code that others do not. That code that they both know so well is a code that is on Seth Rollins back. This was some really great stuff. I would highly recommend you go out of your way and check out this promo. He talks about how Rollins' body has crumbled under the pressure of his own vanity, and that how will Seth feel when he breaks him once and for all. And he ends it by saying, watch your back. And I just looked at that and I just felt, whoa. For me, you know, this in recent years, this was one of the best backstage pre-produced, well-executed segments where the primary language was not English, but you were using English subtitle. It was just overall high marks. I don't know who was in charge of this, but this is exactly what we need. You take this simple blueprint and you keep doing this. This is the blueprint that you do for Io Sky. This is the blueprint that you do for Asuka. This is the blueprint that you do for fill in the blanks. This is how you freaking do it. Now look, hear me out now. I'm not saying that you got to execute it just like how Nakamura. Look, if Asuka has the zany, right? She's got that whole thing going on. Okay, that's fine. But if you want for them to come across a particular way to the WWE audience where, hey, look, they truly get past the smoke and mirrors, get past the face paint, the theatrics, you know, get to the heart of the matter and the character here, because there's some serious words that they got to lay upon you, then they definitely need to do stuff like this more often. You know, whatever is most comfortable for these guys and girls in their respected settings and everything. But the way that Nakamura particularly came off in this, you know, and I get what WWE have been trying to execute with Nakamura these past several weeks now. They've been trying to execute a more cerebral, sinister, methodical, heartless Nakamura. Well, WWE, mission accomplished. That's exactly what you greatly were able to do in one night. There's your blueprint now. You got to continue to keep at it. So I love this. I really, really love this. So now you officially have a rivalry because Rollins just essentially got Nakamura from out of nowhere. And now, you know, we know that Nakamura, he's been hungry for so long that he has essentially said, I will not be denied any longer, and whatever it takes by any means necessary. And look, in regards to Rollins, I know exactly what's going on with this guy. And the fact that Nakamura is the one, it's not Rollins. Here's what made that promo even more kick-ass. It wasn't WWE that told us about these injuries to Rollins' back. It wasn't Rollins himself that tells us about these injuries that's going on with his back. It wasn't no PW Insider or whoever, you know, a Wrestling Observer. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, and like, I don't know, you know, no. You get Nakamura from just out of the clear blue. It was a brilliant way to just, boom, now you got yourself a freaking feud. Excuse me. Great freaking stuff. High marks on a lot of levels right there. Now, Seth Rollins, he would respond to this much later on in the night as he was interviewed. And I thought this was funny because he's taking jabs at the fact that Nakamura was in front of cameras, you know, somewhere backstage and everything, you know, saying all of this. But yet Seth Rollins is backstage and he's doing a little bit of a rebuttal. Like, come on, Rollins. Like, you can try that all you want. Like, come on, man. We see right through this and everything, right? So it was hilarious. So So in regards to the back, Rollins admits that Shinsuke caught him off guard when he brought up the back injury because it's not really something he likes to talk about publicly. But if we're going to be 100, we're going to keep it 100% accurate. Truth of the matter is he has 2 fractures in his lumbar spine and has been living with the injury for over 4 years now, and that although it gets worse yearly, he doesn't know the end game just yet, how everything's going to play out for him in his respected wrestling career, to the point he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be able to wrestle at the level that he's doing it right now. As far as he's concerned, that's part of the gig, and I love how he did that. You know, he's like, look, it comes with the territory. You want to be in this business, the injuries, right? Unless you absolutely can't go, when fans see you in that ring gear, right? Look at what happens when it comes to football season and all of that. And every time you turn around, we find out after a fact, oh, this person wasn't playing at 100%. And, most fans, they could be understanding, but at the same time, they're also going, well, look, if they put that jersey on, then they're going out there to play. So, if they're not really at 100%, I mean, right? You hear that mindset all the time and everything. So, for Rollins to just, hey, this is part of the territory. This is the nature of the beast and everything. It's part of the gig and everything. So to Rollins' point, if Shinsuke wants to dig up the injury, take cheap shots, that's fine. Want to question Rollins' character? That's fine too. But where the line gets drawn is bringing his wife into the mix, bringing his daughter into the mix, bringing his livelihood into the mix. Well, you cross that line, you better be prepared to face off man to man. So, as far as he's concerned, Shinsuke is not even there tonight, which is a great insult to Rollins and everything, because he feels that Nakamura is afraid to face Seth. So he puts a nice little challenge out there, which is basically next week, the final Raw going into Payback weekend. Give him one more chance to play mind games, essentially man-to-man and everything. Prove to the world that Nakamura is an honorable warrior, and that he'll repeat what he already told Shinsuke, as he won't be that hard to find. He'll be in the middle of the ring with the fans chanting his theme song. He'll have that World Heavyweight Championship around his waist or his shoulder. Only thing Nakamura got to do is just show up, get in his face. So that's going to be one nice encounter on that Raw Go Home show. I'm looking forward to that. Good stuff, though. That is just high marks all the way around. Speaking of Seth Rollins, shout out to my gamers out there, for you guys that are still playing WWE SUPERCARD. When you look at the longevity of certain WWE video games, particularly mobile WWE games that's come out over the years, WWE, there's been some misses in there. The Immortals game is definitely one that comes into mind. I still remember the WWE 2K game that came out for tablet and Android, iOS devices. Curiosity got the best of you, but with the extreme limitations, you just pretty much clocked out very quick. WWE, there was also a WWE game that was kind of like Bejeweled. I think it was called WWE Champions. All the updates to that game, that is a game that had so much potential. I remember trying to get behind it at the very beginning, but that game, very quick, it's a cash grab. It is if there's any game out there that is just a poster child for cash grab, it's definitely that game. But WWE SUPERCARD has consistently, year upon year, been one of those games where you don't have to invest hardly any money, no money at all, and you can build yourself up a really nice deck rather quickly. And to my point, and it goes back to Rollins. I like the Rollins event that they had going on. It's getting ready to wrap up now, so sorry for you guys that are just now hearing about this, but WWE SUPERCARD, they had a really cool ass Seth Rollins event where you basically got all these ingredients, and it looked really, really complicated at first, but basically when it was all said and done, look, you just need 75 of this, 75 of that, 75 of this one. When you do, you can turn all those in and get one of this, one of this, one of this. Want to get this really cool Seth freaking Rollins card over here? Just give us those 3 that you were able to get off of the 75 each, right? The conversion, and you're good to go. And the Rollins card is pretty strong. I gotta tell you, it's pretty strong. I've got a Damian Priest that's pro'd and has 1 heroic upgrade. I wasn't able to get the 2nd heroic upgrade in time, sadly. I didn't have the time to really grind and everything, but I was quite taken back by the fact that those that were sharing their Pro Rollins card, like I'm seeing it before they even get it to level 2, level 3, it's almost as strong, if not strong in some areas, of the Damian Priest SummerSlam 23 heroic card. If you got all the heroics for the Damian Priest card, I'm going, whoa, that is pretty impressive for out of the gate and everything. So it's a really cool event. You guys might have a little bit of time, if you want to try to do some quick grinding, or maybe if you want to try to take advantage of some of the ingredient packs that's out there. But you would probably do better maybe investing in the $10 frickin' grab Rollins bag for a chance to get one of those Seth cards, because if you try to go for the ingredients joint, I mean, they want like $10, and you're only gonna get about, I'm trying to think how many times you can dip into the well on that one. I think you can dip into the well on that one 5 times, and you're only gonna get maybe 3 or 5 ingredients per. So you're still, you'll be like maybe a third away, but that's not really going to help you out, when it's all said and done. But I like the new animations that they're doing for these cards, because it really began. There was a Rey Mysterio card, and I know there was a Eddie Guerrero card, but it looks like with this Seth Rollins card, officially, the Seth Rollins card and the Mick Foley card that's available in the Battle Pass, these are the first 2 cards that actually do some type of really cool motion animation. It's really, really cool. You guys, you got to see for yourselves. Go online next time when you get an opportunity. Finishing out the talk of Raw. By the way, if you guys been enjoying yourselves so far, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button. When you do that, you really help supercharge content like what you're checking out right now, and put more eyeballs on the content. So do that, and many, many thanks. So some other action that came about from this WWE Raw, not too much else to go over. How about the Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch promo? That was just, man, I was really looking forward to the feud being over last week. I was really hoping that, but then we hear, oh, there's going to be a steel cage match. And we're going, okay, so assuming we're going to get the steel cage match on Raw, right? We're going to get the steel cage match on Raw. No, the way it's looking right now, this steel cage match, it's officially been forwarded to WWE Payback. And I'm just kind of, shaking my head going, can we please just be done with this already? I mean, it's obvious when you look at the crowd, and you looked at that Canadian crowd tonight. That Canadian crowd could give two not. They did not give a about these girls. Dead freaking quiet in there. Are we not entertained? It was dead quiet in there. Trish as a heel, It just has not been popping. I love Trish Stratus. That is my girl. A lot of fun memories growing up with, watching Trish Stratus and everything. Some really cool moments from the Attitude Era and all that. But it's not meshing. And then you flip over to Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch trying to get back the status that she had from a couple of years ago. That's just, it's not going anywhere. Nothing is happening for, usually they say opposites attract. Well, in this case, ain't nothing happening. I was more interested in what the hell Zoe Stark was chewing on than the freaking promo between Trish and Becky. Sincerely, I'm not just saying that. Go back when you get a chance and watch Zoe Stark. I've never seen someone chewing so much in my entire life. At one point, I'm yelling at the TV, as if Zoe can hear me, and it was funny because wifey's looking at me and she's laughing as I'm yelling at the TV. But I'm literally yelling at Zoe, stop chewing. And I mean, the way she was chewing, this wasn't once in a blue moon, just kind of moving your mouth around or whatever. She was chewing as if she was working on a piece of steak, some prime rib. I mean, my girl was acting like something was hearty going on. Like there was a hearty ass meal that was going on in her mouth. I wanted to know what the hell did she have when she was coming out there. It was so freaking distracting. I was more interested in that than the promo. This is just dead, all the way around dead. I need them to be done with this already. It is such a huge disservice to both women. If this would have been a case where you would have done this right at the height of Becky Lynch and the whole man run and everything, if you would have capitalized right around then, I definitely feel things would be much different. I think the outcome would have been much different. But, and I hate coming out here sounding like a broken record, because I know this is the first time I've brought it up that, the Becky is just not working, but, they have been delivering some of the worst segments on Raw every single week. If there was ever a moment where I wished I could have been able to fast forward, it would have been this, but the fact that I was in real time, oh my God, the torture. Just the torture that I had to go through with this segment. Couldn't wait for it to be over. Could not wait for it to be over. See what else had went down on Raw for tonight. Just thinking about some other matches. Candice LeRae squash match against Rhea Ripley. I mean, it was like literally less than a minute. Tommaso Ciampa, pretty pissed off. Backstage segment. Talked about how he lost to Gable. And then, although he's happy for Gable, as far as Ciampa is concerned, he was pretty close. And he's a bit disappointed that now look, we got Nakamura who's getting ready to face Seth for the title and everything, and that should be him basically. He should be in that position. And as far as he's concerned, he didn't come back to basically be second place, third place, and all that after everything that he's accomplished in his respected career and everything. He's not there to play games. He is there to take over the game. Yeah, kind of. You got you thinking about Triple H there, huh? Miz coming in afterwards, bashing on LA Knight, talks about how, hey, LA Knight, he ain't nothing. All right, he's still taking a massive dump on LA Knight. LA Knight is not on his level, as Miz has picked someone who's faster, stronger, bigger, and dominant than anyone LA Knight has faced. And that person is Akira Tozawa. Akira Tozawa coming in there, and all he's doing is yes. He just, like LA Knight. Miz just pretty much knocks him on his butt. This pretty much takes us to Miz taking on Tozawa. Tozawa ends up picking up the win. I was surprised this match went as long as it did, all things considered, but yeah. Now remember I was talking about Miz and Drew McIntyre from earlier in the night, right? So backstage, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, they're chatting it up, and Drew tells Riddle, it's not you, it's me. It's not gonna work, right? So New Day enters the scene to tell them they have good chemistry and that they appreciate what Riddle and Drew had did for them earlier, and actually appreciate, you know, the tag match that they had and everything. And they say, look, we think we got a new name for you guys, to the point you guys can call yourself McRiddle. I'm just picturing a McDonald's lawsuit coming in there. So next week, Viking Raiders. Challenge is basically put out there that if they want a rematch, New Day are basically down. Riddle and Drew, you know, they're left to their own devices. Riddle tells Drew, hey man, don't give up just yet. Let's try tag teaming one more time. Drew doesn't say yes, but he doesn't say no either. So we'll find out what happens with that as far as next week goes. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven taking on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven picking up the win. This was a squash match. Less than 2 minutes, man. Seriously, less than 2 minutes of a match this was. Hey, it is what it is. I got nothing for you on this one. It was what it was with this one. I'm still on the honeymoon period, so we'll see where this continues to go. Main event, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn taking on Finn Balor, Damian Priest. Well, Priest had his briefcase, but Sami comes in there and flies off of the steps into Priest. Rhea's nearby, as is JD. JD grabs the case, tosses it in the ring, but KO catches it, clocks Finn across the face. Ref calls for the DQ. So Judgment Day wins via DQ. You're looking at this going, this was like in the first 2 minutes. So you're looking at this, you're going, okay. More carnage continues to break out. Cody comes out there and pretty much, look, if you guys want to go, let's really even this up. 3-on-3, let's freaking go. So it's Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens taking on the Judgment Day. That was officially your main event match for Monday Night Raw. Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Owens picking up the win. Nice, smart main event match. Everything clicked. Great way to send the crowd home happy as well. This was the best outcome that you could do, especially having Sami Zayn grab the microphone at the end, giving a shout out to the Quebec crowd, and also saying a Judgment Day better look next time and everything for a nice little parting shot. And then in the episode, pretty well-rounded, solid episode of Monday Night Raw when it was all said and done. You know, really, really liked it. But again, the highest compliment that I can give, the Chad Gable, Gunther match, for sure the main event match, you know, the 3-on-3 tag, you know, 6-man tag, but definitely the Nakamura promo. Those are the main three that really stick out to me from this week, which was honestly a pretty good show overall. So tip my hat to WWE on that note. Good stuff right there. So let's talk a little bit more. We got some wrestling headlines that we can dive into. We also got some non-wrestling headlines that we can get into as well on the show here. So, you know, interesting. Ever since Edge had the match against Sheamus, you know, and we saw how it ended, because if you were on your social media, you saw exclusive clips that WWE had shared after SmackDown went off the air, and Edge is saying, hey, look, I don't know what's next for me in my respective career. I don't know if I'm done. I don't know if this is the last time that you'll see me, Canada. Obviously, there's a lot that I have to think about. I'm going to have to sit down with the kids and the wife, and just rest, take some time to myself and think about it. But, hey, no matter the case, really appreciate you guys and everything. So, as you got some of the reports that's floating around out there, Edge, he did say in a recent interview that his WWE contract is going to be up in September. And he also noted that, most likely he's wrestled his last match in Toronto and everything. Well, Fightful Select, they've added on to that, since then. And there are many in AEW who think that it's a real possibility that Edge could be coming to the company at some point. And they're noting that he would likely be there under his real name, Adam Copeland. Because remember, the name Edge, that is copyrighted by WWE, right? No brainer, right? So those close to him earlier this year noted that him going to AEW isn't as out there as you might expect, because he's close friends with FTR and Christian, who all were pretty instrumental in helping him prepare for an in-ring return and everything, definitely in FTR and everything. So the idea has been discussed a lot by folks supposedly in AEW, even before Edge said his match with Sheamus would be his last on his contract and everything. As far as whether it actually will be his last match in WWE, on this contract, that's unknown. In recent months, WWE has been trying to do a better job, and mum is the word on contract extensions, re-signings, releases, expirations. And even if if it just so happened, hypothetically speaking, if it just so happens that was Edge's last match, then it's possible that the contract, for all we know, maybe the contract has already quietly expired. It just has to wait until September to officially, or it could be a case where quietly the contract has already been extended. It's 50-50. It can honestly go either way, right? Good example is Goldberg. Look at his deal with the company, because that went far beyond the last time he had wrestled for them and everything. WWE sources did note that Edge has some time added to his deal due to injury. And if you guys remember, Tony Khan was actually interested in hiring Edge in 2019 before it was even known if he could wrestle. Edge contacted Vince McMahon, and the talks between he and McMahon, McMahon very, very ecstatic, wanted him to return to WWE and everything. And of course, the meeting with the doctors was set, got cleared, everything else was history. So, I've got to look at this and approach this from the standpoint of where I was when it came to the talk of CM Punk in AEW. I remember when the rumblings had started, right then and there and everything. And I remember at that time, and I even talked about it publicly on the shows, I remember saying at that time, okay, well, you know what? CM Punk coming to AEW, you know what? I buy into that. Honestly, my mindset way back when was, CM Punk, and I'm sure that Kenny Omega, Cody, the Bucks, I'm sure they were very, very interested in him, day one and everything. But I'm sure CM Punk most likely was in a position where he basically said, okay, look, let me see, kind of like Scott Bakula, actor Scott Bakula from the original Quantum Leap series. You got the new cast, directors and crew, they want for him to be a part of the new Quantum Leap series. And I would imagine Scott Bakula pretty much operating in the same fashion like CM Punk. Look, appreciate what you guys are doing, appreciate the thought and everything, but, I'm just going to say no for right now. But I will be watching. I want to see what you guys do and everything. Keep me in the loop and everything. I'm not saying, I'm not shutting the door on it forever, but just for the time being, especially since I'm, a little bit preoccupied with these other projects, I'm just going to say no for right now. But I'm not shutting the door on you guys. Keep up the good work. Stay in contact. Yada, yada, yada. Okay? And we saw how eventually that all had played out. So in regards to CM Punk, I had always felt that, it's just a matter of time. If Punk does make that return, I always felt, yeah, he's going to do it for AEW. I didn't feel that he was going to, and I went on record for that. I didn't say, yeah, he'll pop up in Impact. No. So that played out the way I thought it was going to play out. When it came to the talk of Sting possibly coming to AEW, that's an interesting one, and I'll tell you the reason why. When I looked at Sting, I honestly felt, well, damn, to go from WWE and to go back to Impact Wrestling, that is such a man, that's a 180. That is such a 180. Do you really want to go back, after you saw the way WWE was able to handle your character, at least from a merchandising standpoint, maybe not so much from a booking standpoint, but from a merchandising commercial standpoint, WWE, whether you like it or not, you got to admit, they did right by him marketing commercial wise, okay? So, man, this stage of the game, Sting, going back to Impact, Sting, NWA, like, nah, man, that's an insult. So for me, AEW, I talked about it way back when. I was like, AEW, okay, sure. But my concern back then was, man, what are you going to have this guy do? Because of the injury that he has sustained and everything by that Seth Rollins buckle bomb, he's going to need some type of surgery at some point. Woo! What's this guy supposed to do in AEW? Is he supposed to wrestle? And this guy could be a bad move away from being in a wheelchair like Christopher Reeve. Come on now. And, once we saw Sting in there, and I got to admit to you guys, I still cringe over certain spots that I see Sting do, because my whole thing is, dude, just, man, please be smart, please. What was it? Wasn't it a pay-per-view where Sting had went through a table or something like that? Some crazy spot involving Sammy Guevara, and Sting just no-selling it like a mofo when he went through it or whatever. And you see these instances where you're hoping that Sting is all right and everything, and at the age that he is, what is he now, 64? 63, 64, 65? So, in regards to Sting, but I'll give the devil its due. It's operated, on a decent level so far as Sting and AEW goes and all that, okay? So I look at that. I see what's been happening with Bryan Danielson. I look at Saraya. I see all these people that Tony Khan has been able to acquire. I'm at a point right now where I know a lot of people are going, Edge, AEW, and they're automatically shooting that bad boy down. I hear you. I hear you guys. I do. I'm at a point right now, though, when it comes to this crazy world that's known as professional wrestling, I just go, you know what? Anything can and will happen. And the fact that Christian is over there, the fact that FTR is over there, make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. If Edge were to go to AEW, and it's funny that I'm mentioning this because I remember over the weekend, I don't know why it clicked in my head. It probably did because I was watching the AEW, I think it was one of the main events. It was Christian. I'm trying to remember who he was taking on, but it's sadly not coming to me right now. Maybe he was taking on Darby Allin. I want to say he was taking on Darby Allin. I'm almost confident he was taking on Darby Allin. And I just remember asking in the Discord server, hey, what do you think about the possibility of Edge and Christian wrestling? Could you maybe see something happening where WWE is able to work out some type of a deal where they could get Christian on loan so that the two of them could have a match in WWE, and that could essentially be Edge's farewell? You know, that can be his proper, because you're just kind of picturing in your head the way Edge probably really wants to go out is with his good friend Christian. Whether fighting him, you know, standing across from him, going one-on-one, or they're involved in some type of a tag match. And everybody has shot that down. They were like, no. As far as Christian doing something for WWE, like basically Tony Khan loaning him out, everybody that read my thought, they shot that down. And he's like, no. He's like, it's not happening. And granted so, because there's been times where in the past Tony Khan was very, very warm to WWE, wanting to, and him feeling that it wasn't reciprocal. It's just, you know, okay, no, you know what, forget this, screw you, right? So I get where he's, you know, and if he has a right to feel that way, we may not like it, you know, but we got to respect, hey, at the end of the day, if that's how he feels and all that, then it is what it is. So we know that most likely a Edge Christian reunion in WWE is not going to happen. But would Christian still be able to get that moment with Edge, that nice proper send-off, if it was a case where Edge came to AEW? You know, if I were to just, I could maybe see Edge with AEW for 1 year. 1 year. 2 years is really, really, really pushing it. But I could see Edge in AEW for 1 year, and then that's it. That's enough time for not only an Edge and Christian reunion, that is enough time to do Edge and Christian versus the Bucks versus FTR versus Lucha Brothers. Did I mention Young Bucks already? Hopefully I did. I believe I mentioned Hardys, right? Get those guys in there. The Acclaim, Private Party. I mean, that's enough time to really go in there, do all of those things. Edge versus Christian, Edge versus CM Punk. I think that would be freaking phenomenal. Just thinking about who else that you got there on the roster that would essentially be pretty good. I actually would like to see Edge and MJF. I think that would be a very interesting back and forth, just a bantering between those guys. I think that would be very, very cool. Edge and Miro, go back to that, Edge and Miro. I think that'd be pretty good. Hell, Edge and Powerhouse Hobbs. I think that would actually be a damn good sleeper hit of a program right there. There's a lot that you could do. And you could definitely accomplish all that in a year. If he were to go to AEW, I could definitely see a year. 2 years is really, really pushing it. But if you want me to go on record and say, you know, what do I think as far as Edge to AEW? You know, I can't say, yes, it's going to happen. I won't say, yes, it's going to happen. It's just that with everything that I've seen in this crazy industry that is professional wrestling, I've gotten to that point over the years where I've conditioned myself to go expect the unexpected. And that's the best piece of advice that I could give any wrestling fan out there is, you know what, if you have that optimism and you think that it's very well possible that it could happen, you know, then wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens with that. So, you know, I'm very curious to see, too, what's going to happen with Goldberg. We continue to hear these rumblings with Bill Goldberg and everything. I don't know, man. I don't know. You guys seen the images that's running around of Cora Jade? So apparently everybody is having a freaking field day because it looks as though Cora Jade has gotten some work done on her breasts. You know, many of you guys that have checked out NXT on a regular basis, you all know that Cora Jade, who's definitely you know, one of the favorites there in NXT and everything, you know, cute little Jezebel and all that. You look at her long enough, you know, you get the body down. You know how she's nicely shaped and all that. Well, she made some heads turn as within the past couple of days as she put some nice, very nice photos out of herself wearing a bikini. And what has a lot of people talking right now is the fact that, wait a minute, it looks like Cora Jade had got some type of boob work done, and nobody's complaining about it. It's not like she went and pulled a Dolly Parton. Okay, and got to give her mad props, right? Like, it's not like she went out and, you know, I'm gonna go do this and I'm just gonna get some 36 double D's. It's not like she did anything of that magnitude. If anything, it looks like what she has going on is a nice, respected. You know, I'm no expert, but if I were to say maybe a cup. You know, maybe a C cup. I don't know, but it's definitely got some. It's definitely got some bulk to it and everything. So what I want to do for you guys is feast your eyes on this. I'm just gonna move myself out of the way for a hot little bit here, and I want you to feast your eyes. Try not to drool too much now, but I want you to feast your eyes on that. So that is what's going on with Cora Jade currently. And I've got one more image that I really, really like. I like this image, this first image that I'm showing you guys here, as she's leaned up against a white wall. And, you know, she's kind of holding on to her, what is it, her bra shoulder straps there and all that nice loveliness. I love it. I love it. Now let me show you this other image of her. This is on the desktop. I'll show you this second image of her posing here. And there you go. There's a second one there where she's got her hair, she's playing with her hair. Now, for some of you guys that need a comparison of Cora Jade, I'm trying to see if I can find for you guys a older image here. Just give me a second here. Let's turn safe mode. Let's put it on moderate. And let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find like the right type of image. Just keep looking at that and drooling on that bad boy, and you guys should be okay. You know, I'm kind of wondering, like, maybe that's always been there. Like, you know, y'all just don't know. Because I know, shout out to Eddie. Eddie's one of a longtime listener and supporter of the show and everything. We were going back and forth about Billie Eilish. And he was like, dude. Because I said to him, dude, when did Billie Eilish get boobs? And he said, oh, man, she's had those for a long time. She's just had them tucked away. And I'm going, are you serious? Like, yeah, that's always been there. All right, so I've got another image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one over here. And I'm going to upload a new image for you guys here. I'm sure a lot of you guys are just getting your drool on here, right? Gotta get your groove on. Oh, God. I love you guys, though. I love you guys. Okay, so this will be the last image I'm gonna upload. So this is the Cora Jade that most of you guys remember, right? Okay, so let's just do this. Okay, let's just do it like that, right? We'll do it like that, and then I'm gonna come back to the other one here. Forgive me for closing myself out here. All right, and then we'll just go back to the previous image and boom, we'll do it like that. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? There's your side-by-side comparison. And shout out to DJ. DJ, I know I'm going to be sending you these two images. I definitely want for the listeners, because I really want to know sincerely what you guys think of before and after. Do you think that, I mean, you guys know you've been looking at her much harder than I have. Did she do something, or were her boobs maybe just always taped away, or, right? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, I'm going to take these off now. Sorry for those I'm disappointing. But let's just say she did get some boob work done. You know, first of all, I like how everybody that has been commenting on this has been very respectful. And when I say that, like, it's not a case where people are going, what the hell is wrong with you, man? You freaking freak, you know, man, you're messing yourself up, you know, why go, you know, it's nothing like that. Nobody's throwing any shade at her, or, you know, if anything, people are just going, damn, that looks pretty damn good. Like, hey, nice, right? And obviously there's people that are gonna have, Lord have mercy, tell me that I did not. Lord have mercy. That's what happens when you click, when you type in Cora Jade and you come across on the X, Twitter nonetheless, and you find somebody stroking off to her pics. Lord, that didn't take long. That was within the last 20 minutes. Lord have mercy. Let me just block. And the guy says, I feel like I should redo this because my cum shot wasn't as impactful as I thought it would. But here's a special Cora Jade bimbo level cum tribute nonetheless. Hope y'all still enjoyed it. She had me breathing heavy through the edging. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Y'all some nasty ass seriously. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was wondering how long that was gonna take until somebody was gonna post that freaking crap, man. Seriously. But I know some people have their opinions about cosmetic surgery, like any form of cosmetic surgery, reconstruction. Hell, even if you make the decision that, you know, hey, I want to do something with my teeth, whether you want to get some implants, or, man, my teeth are so crooked, I want to get Invisalign. Like, I remember when I had made the decision a couple of years back, okay, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling what's going on with my teeth. There's such extreme spacing. There's a lot of gap that's going on. Y'all that's been, you know, watching the streams for a long time and or met me in person, you know how my mouth had looked at one point. And, you know, the spacing was just, it was really, really, really bad. It's so funny because I know I mentioned it several minutes ago, but today, Monday, well, we're now going into Tuesday, so good morning to you, good Tuesday morning to you on the East Coast. But Monday, I had a dentist appointment. It was that time of the year for my routine cleaning. So I went in there, did everything, got another passing grade. My girl, Claire is her name. She's the hygienist that always hooks me up. And, you know, she's like, everything looks good. She's like, if anything, just make sure you're really brushing in the back on your molders. You know, do a little bit of a better job on your molders. She's like, it looks good. She's like, but you can do better. Just a little tiny bit of bleeding here and there, you know, but no cavities. You know, you're doing good. She's like, keep up the great work. You know, whatever you're doing, keep up the great work and everything. And she asked me, she said, I didn't get a chance to see your treatment. I've seen your teeth after the fact. And I told her, I said, you should definitely talk to the wife because she's got pictures. She's got the before and after. She's like, she does? She's like, yeah, you should definitely, I'll remind her to show them to you. She's like, oh, okay, all right, cool. But I remember when I had first made the decision that I was going to go with Invisalign, I had some of my own friends and family say to me, well, why do that? That doesn't quite make any sense. You're fine just the way you are. You should just be, content with. And my whole thing was, even back then, my mindset was, well, that's easy for you to say because you don't have people that's staring at your mouth and then they're covering their mouth kind of like in a, oh my God, what is going on with his mouth? Is he missing some teeth or, and all that other stuff, because I had people thinking legit that I was missing teeth, and I'm telling them, no, I don't, I've got all my teeth. I just have this bad spacing. That's it. And it's bad spacing that was running from, it ran on my mother's side of the family. They've got all the spacing and all of that. My dad's side of the family doesn't have it, but my mom's side of the family, they are notorious. The one thing that they are the most notorious for is the trademark front two teeth upper gap. That is the freaking trademark, is that annoying upper gap and everything. And I hear all the cliches, people that have a gap, they're lucky and they're this and they're, oh, you shouldn't mess with the gap because, like some superstitious stuff that's out there. But I remember hearing people, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's, just, you're fine the way you are. And I just remember saying, no, I'm doing this for myself because, number one, I want to be able to smile and I want to feel good about myself. I want to, especially since I'm trying to get in, at that time I was trying to, do what I could to get into the media industry, and, I want to have a career in that respected industry, right? I want to get paid. I want to be an on-field reporter and all that other stuff. And there's no telling all the different type of people that one would be talking to on a regular basis. So your appearance means everything. It means everything. How the hell am I going to conduct an interview or whatever and, I got, all that craziness going on in my mouth? Like, no, it's like, teach it's almost like, you do you. It's like, I don't tell you what to do with your mouth, like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So I get where some people are, though, with, any type of stuff like that, or somebody's going to go under the knife, and, I get that. We've seen examples of, and I hate to mention these women because I've got nothing but respect for them, but you look at Charlotte Flair, you look at Natalya, and it's pretty obvious, especially when you look at the old school pictures of them from back in the day. You go, man, these girls, they have been under the knife so many times. WTF and all of that. Stop already, right? Don't get it to that level where, you see how Little Kim looks now? I still remember, man, I love Little Kim. I own all her albums. I remember when that hardcore album came out. One of my favorites from her of all time. Nothing had topped that debut hardcore album of hers. And you just saw how she looked on that front cover. And you're like, oh man, this girl looked fine as a mofo. Dang. And then, excuse me, you saw the progression of Little Kim as you were going through the album covers, right? So you go from hardcore and you're like, you go through the hardcore album and you're like, oh, okay, all right, nice. Then you go to, and that was 96. Hardcore was 96. And then she had the notorious KIM, which was in 2000. By the time you got to the joint that dropped in 2000, you're going, wait a minute. Doesn't quite look like the Little Kim I remember from 4 years ago. still attractive looking, but not quite the little Kim I remember from 4 years prior. But yeah, I'd get in the sheets with that. Yeah, sure. What's up, right? And then you get to 2003's La Belle Mafia. You're going, oh, okay, that kind of looks like the Kim I remember from '96, just a little bit, kind of still recognizable. Okay, yeah, I can definitely. Then you get to the Naked Truth album, 2005. I'm mentioning these because the front cover albums, like that's her, like her face, her body, and all that. It sells, right? So you get to the 2005, the Naked Truth album, and you're kind of going, is that Kim? Not really sure if that's Kim. Not really. When you get to 9, the album 9 that was released in 2019, you're going, who the fuck is that? you're going, and when you see how she looks now, you're going, that ain't little Kim. No, that's not the woman that was on these album covers. No, that's not right. So but I think that, my personal opinion, if you operate in a moderation type of level, and you're not so gun-ho crazy, like Michael Jackson, I've got to get this nose just right. And God, I remember hearing the stories about how that guy went through so many surgeries with that nose that a couple of times during his life, his nose would just fall off or something like that. I don't know how true that is. I wouldn't be surprised, right? But he's gone under the knife that many times and everything, but I'm not going to tell somebody what they should not do with their body, even when it comes to whether or not they want to lose weight or they want to eat more because they want to pick up more weight. My whole thing is, man, you know what? Do whatever freaking makes you happy. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror, right? That's what it's all about at the end of the day, is self-love, right? So I'm not gonna be that person that's gonna tell somebody what they should not do with their face, with their whole body, and all that. Go do you. And I think at the end of the day, the only opinion that really matters is, hey, Cora Jade, you happy? Are you satisfied? You like how it looks? And I would imagine she probably did some talking with some of the girls on the roster. I wouldn't be surprised if she reached out to Charlotte, because I remember at one point, as many of you all remember, Charlotte was very flat-chested, very, very flat-chested, and then just over time, we saw those joints balloon like a mofo. She started off with a really nice little, that's a nice little apple size, and then it just went to melons, some honeydews. Right, she ended up having some honeydews in her joints, and it was just. Remember when one of them had ruptured? Remember that? And we didn't see her for a little bit. Remember that? So, but that's my 2 cents on that from a distance. Some other stuff that we can get into here on the show. We got a couple more little topics that we can get into. We're almost done though. We're probably gonna take it up to the 2-minute mark, and then we're just gonna call it, because we're already at the 1 hour. 53-minute mark. So look, on a non-wrestling related tip, got an interesting update for you guys. So as many of you guys recall from last week's show, again, go back, get the 411. That would have been episode number 1043 of the RCWR show. You would have heard me talk about a dog store that was mom and pa operated. Essentially, it was called District Dogs, and they operated out of Rhode Island Avenue in Northeast Washington, D.C. And I talked about this horrific flooding that had went down. Now, shout out to DJ, because DJ is basically going to be putting what I'm saying right now together with the first part of what we talked about from last week's show. So in a new update, because I want to make sure that we all are on the same page and everything, in a new update to District Dogs, we had got from the 911 head of the call center in DC, we had got a log that had showed when the calls had came in talking about the flooding that was going on at District Dogs. And it is so heartbreaking to see this, because obviously you have these pet owners, you've got DC lawmakers, officials, everybody's trying to find out, fire department, EMS, everybody's trying to find out what happened here. How did we fail the people at District Dogs, the owners that had put the lives of their pets in the hands of these people at District Dogs? How did we get to this point where such a big old ball of miscommunication? Where did it all go wrong? Because this is all about accountability and everything. And you had the head of the 911 call center. They pretty much was saying, hey, news reporters and everybody else, hey, don't be putting the blame over here, because we've got the call logs and we can take accountability, but here's what went down. So check this out. The day of the incident, at 5:06 p.m., the first call for flooding had came in, and it was from a person that was inside of District Dogs who had said it's flooding horribly, the whole building is going underwater, people and dogs are going underwater. So you hear that and you're going, whoa, WTF, well, what the heck, man? And then by 5:10, so look at that, from 5:06 and now we're going to 5:10, so 4 minutes later, right? By 5:10, people knew what was going on. By people, I mean the DC 911, the call center, they pretty much knew what was going on. But now it's about, okay, what's going on with the information being transmitted, dispatched to EMS, fire department, because you got to keep in mind, these guys were not finally able to get to the scene for almost 30 minutes. Stay with me here. So you had a second call that came in shortly after the initial call that came in. Then a third call by 5:18 describing that there is a emergency from inside the store. This is at 5:18. So by 5:22, you finally get a radio dispatch that basically is translated to the firefighters, EMS, to say, look, we got this situation over here at District Dogs. Those people need help ASAP. There's people that their lives are on the line here. They could possibly be drowning. Y'all got to get there ASAP because they're experiencing some serious flooding. 5:31 p.m., rescuers made entry as someone called saying that they were trapped. So you're looking at that, you're hearing this information, you're going, how did we, that makes no sense that at 5:06 you're getting the call, and yet 5:31 is when frickin', that makes no sense whatsoever. So you had the director by the name of Heather McGagan, and I gotta tell you, when you look up the image of this woman, I'm telling you, pet lovers out there, if you're upset right now just hearing all of this, you're definitely going to be even more upset when you go out of your way and you see this story, this heartbreaking story, and you see this woman's face and just how she handled this whole press conference that had went down earlier on Monday. It was extremely combative, very confrontational. You had reporters that were so frustrated because all they were trying to do is get legit answers out of this woman, and just as far as the accountability goes, not taking self-accountability whatsoever. Heather McGagan, who I don't think is going to be lasting that long in the position that she's in. She is the director of Unified Communications. She said that as far as the miscommunications and all that goes, basically it came down to 2 911 call center dispatchers. You had one that initially logged in the first report that I read to you guys that came in at 5:06. She initially, Heather McGagan, she said that respected dispatcher coded it in wrong and basically said some type of a water leak. So that's why it did not get escalated the way that it got escalated. And then in addition to that, another issue that was going on, by the time they had realized what exactly was going on, supposedly there was not a proper code that they had in the system to let them know that they were dealing with essentially a collapsed building due to flooding. This is the way this woman had tried to spin it and everything. And, you had some of the reporters saying, hey, look, can you at least acknowledge that you all made mistakes? Can you offer some type of an apology to the pet owners? And what course of actions are going to be taken to make sure that something like this does not happen again? This woman had refused to do those things. Only saying that they're walking through things, they're talking through things, and you're going, what the hell does that mean? What more are you doing? Because that makes no sense whatsoever. And the owner of District Dogs, the owners, they are continuing, the dog owners that lost their furry little loved ones in that flooding, they are continuing to demand answers because there's now this new report that is floating around. They haven't been able to confirm or deny, but basically they're going, wait a minute, were our pets left in cages, and that is essentially how they succumbed to their death, is they were locked in a cage? Because understand something, we didn't talk about this last week, but at this District Dogs place that was off Rhode Island Avenue, pet owners were paying these people up to $700 a month to essentially babysit their pets. While this basically, look at this almost as if it's human daycare. You have people that 5 days, 6 days a week, dropping their pets off. They go work, do their thing. Maybe after they get off work, go get their pet, or if they're getting ready to go out of town for the weekend. But you got people that were paying upwards close to $700 a month. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear $700 a month, just imagine that. You had 10 animals that died. So just hypothetically speaking, let's say you were getting $700 off of those 10 dead animals. And you had, let's say, I think it was 30 animals that were rescued. So again, $700. That is, when me and wifey did the math, we were like, with all that money, and if you're the owner of District Dogs and you're saying, oh, we're waiting on the government to, put in these tunnel drains so they can, for the amount of money that these people were paying to make sure that their pets got all the proper attention, love, and everything, okay? That's enough money to do something where, long as it met code and safety standards, you could have built something on the outside that could have intercepted the water, make sure it was going where it needed to go, out into a sewer drain system, what have you. The owner of District Dogs, he has shut the place down. He has refused to open it back up. He's pretty much said it's closed permanently. He's never going to open it again. He's done. I would imagine at this point, as far as having a local business in the D.C. metropolitan area, including Maryland and Virginia, I would imagine the guy is done. He's going to be going into outside that whole jurisdiction and just pack it up and go elsewhere. But people are still demanding answers. The biggest thing right now is what was going on with our pets. Were our pets locked in cages? And you had some pet owners confront this district dog's owner, and he's refusing to give that information, and I think he knows that as far as from a legality standpoint, he is okay. So what I said earlier, as far as, look, I see this litigation going down, I see these pet owners ganging up together, and as far as a multi-class action lawsuit, as far as those involved, the owner of district dogs, the city, trust me when I say Muriel Bowser is not gonna be taking this one on the chin. She does not like. She has shown me a very solid track record of, and I'm not saying solid in a complimentary way. I'm just saying as far as, it's the proof's in the pudding, basically. She has shown a strong record for when she gets embarrassed and dragged in the media and all that. No. Who's our fall guy for this? Who was responsible for this? Who was supposed to be on top of this? She makes sure that one way or another, she gets a mofo's resignation. But trust me when I say, as far as a multi-class action lawsuit goes, if it's not already in development, I would imagine before the end of September, it's definitely going to come to fruition and all that. And I cannot stress this enough. Look, man, if at the end of the day you were to tell me, hey, you can pay anywhere in the upwards of close to $700 to do this, do that for your pet, and then to find out that they're essentially being put in a cage, I don't care how you try to dress that up. Oh, they got a TV, they got a sofa. Like, cage is a cage, all right? For that amount of money, right, and you just don't know what exactly is going on with that furry little friend, that should give pet owners out there serious caution as far as investing in places like that. You would honestly just do better off making sure that your furry friend, if they're not able to come with you, and that's unfortunate, we all would love to take our furry family members with us wherever we go, those vacations, all of that, but sometimes there's some places where pets aren't allowed. The best thing that you can do, everybody knows at least one friend or one family member who, if you just gave them $50 to $75 for the inconvenience, they would watch your pet, especially when you say to them, hey man, they don't bite, they're just so lovey-dovey, they just want to cuddle, just play with them, make sure they're getting their food, getting their water. That's it, man. They're pretty much just going to be relaxing the entire time and everything. That friend's going to be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Seriously, if it's imagine that. Imagine paying somebody $700 freaking dollars. Even if you got it like that financially, just imagine coming out of your pocket, I'm going to give somebody $700 to take care of this pet, to take care of my pet. That is just ridiculous. Seriously, it's just ridiculous. If you guys are just now tuning in, because I'm seeing some of the comments that's trickling on in, we did the whole talk of Raw like about, my God, almost 30 minutes ago. So for you guys that's watching, particularly live via YouTube, you guys can hit the rewind button. Almost put it around the 20-minute mark, and you get the talk of Monday Night Raw. We went through, we dedicated almost 45 minutes, 50 minutes talking about WWE Raw. So sorry for those of you that maybe are just now tuning in and everything. So, but my thoughts are definitely with those who lost. I was telling DJ about that, and DJ was saying to me initially, hopefully DJ doesn't mind, he's like, man, I don't know if we should really bring this up as a clip. And I told him, I said, dude, when I talk about stuff like this, proud to say I don't monetize it. I'm not looking to make money off of this. Is about spreading awareness, letting people know what the heck is going on and everything, because it just, you gotta know what's going on. Like, even if you're in your respected little bubble, sometimes in certain instances it's good to know what's going on outside of that bubble, and like, wow, that's a thing, like, wait, what? Shout out to those that have also been affected by those Maui fires. Freaking ridiculous. The numbers just continue to grow. 114 as it stands right now, the last update, 114 are dead right now. We've got 850 people that are missing. We've got over 15,000 people that are without reliable communications, right? And then we have flames that have destroyed over 2,000 structures. That's what all is going on right now. And I'm not going to go political, but I will say this to you guys. Seeing the president speak, that was... he lost me after the first 5 minutes. And look, before anybody says you're Republican, first of all, I'm independent. So, we're the deadliest kind of mofos that's out there, because it's one of those, we can swing either way, right? But I'm looking at this I hate to say promo, but I'm looking at this speech that the president is trying to give to the victims and everything, and really understand where I'm coming from, because you're talking to a person that knows what it's like to be a speaker, that knows from experience what it's like to be a presenter, because I've done it in some form, in my line of work. I've definitely studied it as I'm majoring in journalism currently, okay? And I've done enough functions and all of that. I know all the things as far as being a good speaker goes. And Biden came off extremely unprepared. It seemed as though this guy just rolled out of the bed, didn't practice reading the stuff that he needed to memorize or whatever. It came off very half-assed. I don't want to hear from people, oh, well, he's getting up there in age. I've had professors close to Biden's age, extremely well prepared to execute that respected course. Witty, whole 9 yards, but very well prepared when it came to teaching us what we needed to know. There's no excuse. There's no excuse whatsoever. His preparation was out of whack. And then the times that he was trying to make jokes early on in the speech, and just seeing those people with their uncomfortable laughs because they weren't really sure how to react to the guy and everything, it was just, oof. It was really, really rough. And then he kept bringing it back to him. If there's one thing that I hate when we come across some people, and everybody has dealt with that at some point. You get those people that, you're trying to explain a situation to your best friend, neighbor, or whatever, something that's really bothering you, and somehow they got to throw it back on them. They've always got to go with the I. One of my ex-friends operated that way. I could be trying to tell them something that's very significant, something that's really important to me that's going on, and I need some serious advice, and they would just somehow spin it right back to it being about them, the topic being about them. And after so many times of that, it's just, okay, you know what? Bump you, man. Seriously. Because all you care about is yourself. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Ain't got time for that. Right? So, I didn't like how it came off in the first 5 minutes. I. When I lost my wife. I even saw Jill Biden kind of tilt her head down. She looked rather uncomfortable. you know, as he was bringing all that up and everything, you know, and it's like, what is she, second place, you know, or you know, seriously, second, what is she, right? It was just really, really bad on a lot of levels. I didn't like it. It made me feel extremely uncomfortable. I remember Tams was watching it right along with me. Yeah, because we both were saying the whole point of me bringing all this up, you know, is the victims of Maui. It should be about them. And instead, the first 5 minutes, it was just I, joke, I. And it was like, yeah, miss me with that. Even Tams thought that whole thing was uncomfortable on so many levels. So, but thoughts to them. You know, I can't stress enough. If you guys haven't donated already, I'm sure every little bit helps. Do what you can. Donate to those guys, those families. I know they would greatly appreciate it. Other than that, just thinking if there's some other stuff that we can get into just before we get ready to wrap it up. All that stuff that's going on with CM Punk and all that. I definitely want to talk about that on the Wednesday show. I will say this, because we didn't get a chance to talk about Dynamite from last week. That Dynamite from last week, that had to been one of the worst produced episodes of Dynamite, and I've watched every single episode of Dynamite since the company came to fruition. Okay, so for me to say, those that have checked out my streams for a long time, you know, I've given Dynamite a lot of praises, said, hey, this show's pretty cool, hey, this episode was good, you know, hey, this match was all right, this was good, hey, this one, right? I've always kept it real with you guys. But that episode last Wednesday, can I be honest with you? I was so irritated and upset with that episode that they put out last Wednesday. I was so mad. I said to wife, I ain't going on. No, that was really bad. Because I knew the type of mood I was going to be in. And that probably would have made great content. But I just felt I would have been in a F-bomb mode all night long. I would have been... And I wasn't trying to have the whole show be like that. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy an extended break and everything. The chainsaw stuff, that was just... The Jim Ross interview with Kenny Omega, that had me laughing my behind off. Seriously, just every time they just kept cutting away to Jim Ross, and he just had this disgusted look on his face. Like, yeah, JR, that's how I'm feeling about this episode so far, man. That's how I'm feeling about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Look, I know when it's all said and done, apparently Tony Khan and crew, they were able to raise X amount of money to send to the victims affected by the Maui fires and everything, and that's great and everything. But the quality for that show, the Rampage that came out from Friday, was loads better. By the way, in case y'all don't know, Fridays, 401mania.com, I'm always providing live Rampage coverage, so you can interact with me, rest of the great community in real time as Rampage is on the air. I know that for the next, hang on, is it this weekend? I'm just trying to, give me a second here. I think it's this weekend. Yes, this coming Saturday and the Saturday after, I'm actually going to be making back-to-back Saturday night appearances doing live Collision coverage as our regular is going to be on vacation. So, you know, you want to get my thoughts about Collision for the first time ever, definitely these next two Saturdays. Invest. Hey, congrats to Konnan. Konnan had revealed that he found a donor. He had recently conducted a interview, and yeah, some of you guys know Konnan was in need of another kidney and everything because he basically was on dialysis and all that. And you know, when you're on dialysis, you know, pretty much 10% of your kidney is all that's functioning, and you know, it's almost essentially a death sentence if you don't hurry up and try to do your best to find a donor and, you know, try to get off dialysis, you know, if it's even an option, as quick as humanly possible and everything. Konnan was able to find a donor. The only issue that the donor has right now. They just needed to lose 6 pounds. I believe they are about to achieve it, or they've done it now, but they needed to lose 6 pounds, and that basically is it. So now it's just a matter of when is Konnan gonna go under the knife and get that. But congrats to him on finding a donor and everything. Also, Impact Wrestling, some interesting news about them. One of the last times that Impact Wrestling had did something at the 2300 arena out in PA was for Impact versus NJPW Multiverse United 2. And a lot of people have been wondering, hey, is Impact, because we've seen Impact, they've done Chicago, they've done, New Jersey. I mean, they've been hitting all. I need them to come on back, though, to DC. It's been a long time since they've come to the DC metropolitan area. I need them to definitely show some love over here. But, question has been brought up, what's going on? When are they going to come back to the 2300 arena, if at all? PW Insider is reporting that at least for now, it would appear that they are not going to be coming back to the arena in Philly anytime soon. So, of course, hey, look, things can change. We'll have to wait and see about that. Lacey Evans, let's end the show on this note, because I do have it titled in the episode and everything. So Lacey Evans, she has been released from WWE. We got to make sure that we get things cleared here, okay? Because I know that Lacey Evans had put out a tweet basically saying, hey, look, as of 12 a.m., I'm now going to be going under, and she basically put her real name out there and everything. And a lot of people were given the impression that she was being released by WWE. And in actuality, what went down with Lacey Evans is, she fulfilled all her contractual obligations. Her contract had expired. And what she decided to do, she told WWE, hey, look, I'm not interested in renewing my contract. I just want to go on ahead and test the waters elsewhere. I want to go on ahead and, work on some other projects. I want to work on some stuff outside of wrestling. So I think that's really important, because I've seen the reports that's been put out there and everything, and this wasn't a case where WWE released her, like basically WWE fired her. That wasn't the case whatsoever. She fulfilled all her commitments to her contract. It expired. She was not interested in renewing. And look, when it's all said and done, this woman is 33 years old, in phenomenal shape. She's got a great body, smoking hot body. She has a great look. She could easily command being on the front cover of Playboy, having a spread, doing Sports Illustrated, doing their little swimsuit catalog edition or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you name it. She could definitely command. She's got a really strong, good presence about her and everything. I look at Lacey Evans and I see this woman that essentially was on the independent scene as far back as 2014, 2015, but she's been under the WWE system since 2016 until now. And, Lacey Evans has got to be one of those individuals, those rare individuals where I go, how could you mess this up? Sincerely, how could you mess this up? I've heard so many people talk about, Lacey Evans, and, you've got those that say, she can't wrestle worth a damn. I beg to differ. Lacey Evans wrestles better than half the women on the AEW roster. Lacey Evans wrestles better than a decent amount of the women currently in WWE across all the shows that you're looking at. There are certain women that I'm looking at going, why is this one getting TV time and all that, when a woman like Lacey Evans very easily should be the one that can slide right on in there. I've never seen a bad Lacey Evans match. Now, I'm not saying that to say on the flip side to that, Lacey Evans, every match she's done, it's been an A minus. On the contrary, typically I've seen Lacey Evans do roughly a C to a C plus type of match. Maybe only a couple in there where I go B minus. But that's probably maybe 3 to 5 at most for like her entire career. It's probably 3 to 5 at most that I go, that's a B minus. But typically I've seen about a C plus, and that's not bad. That's not bad whatsoever. As I've always said on this show for years, you're only as good as your dance partner. Okay? When I look back on Lacey Evans' career, their best moment in utilizing this woman came respectfully when that feud went down where Lacey had teamed up with Baron Corbin and they were sticking it to Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, when this was the first rodeo that Becky and Seth were being recognized as a couple on screen and everything. And remember, everything had culminated in that infamous joint where Baron Corbin had did the end of days on Becky, and all of that was badass, and it had set up a joint where it was an intergender tag match where Becky and Seth's titles respectfully were on the line. And I always said, right down to the point, you go back and you check out that pay-per-view post-show leading up to offering match predictions and all that, I felt that, you gotta pull the trigger. You gotta strike while the iron is hot. You've built up some serious momentum here for Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. You wanted to get these two over. Okay, well, now you've essentially done it. Put the titles on them. Let this be about, establishing them as the new faces. Let them be the chicken champions and have the baby faces chase after them for a little bit. If you want to give the titles back to Seth and Becky after a 3-month program, that's fine, but this is your window of opportunity right here. You got to strike while it's hot and it's good, so go for it. And for whatever respected reason, WWE did not pull the trigger. And I had always felt, well, man, it's right there on a silver platter. If you're not going to do it right then and there, where is the next opportunity supposed to happen? When are you going to get another great silver platter of an opportunity like this, if ever again? And I just felt when WWE did not seize that moment, that pretty much told you all you needed to know about Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans in a nutshell, sadly. Now, some people, including myself, wasn't really a fan of the whole foghorn, leghorn, southern gimmick because it's in my wheelhouse within reason. And what I mean by that is when I looked at that Lacey Evans gimmick, I do declare, I say pay attention, boy, pay attention, right? That whole southern foghorn, leghorn gimmick of hers, that's how I've always dubbed it. But I've always looked at it and I always felt this is too hokey dokey for where we are currently in pulp culture. This feels like we're taking a serious step back to wrestling of yesteryear, particularly during that 80s, 90s period where we've got Repo Man, you know, we've got the Mountie and all these other characters running around. Yeah, not really sure that we can get away with this kind of character, right? I mean, she felt like she was part of a completely detached universe all in itself. When she came on, tell me if I'm lying, but it felt like you were watching something of a completely different show, right? Like it wasn't complimentary to what you were watching overall of the WWE product, and that she felt out of place. Now, if you were maybe to look at David McLean's Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, or you were to look at Wow, Women of Wrestling, you go, okay, yeah, that Lacey Evans, Southern Hospitality, Foghorn Leg, okay, yeah, that works fantastic over here. But taking that and trying to force that to work in WWE, that's basically taking a circular piece of a puzzle and forcing it to fit in a triangular gap. Just it wasn't working, okay? But Lacey, you know, she tried, she kept chipping away. They had their moment, they didn't pull the trigger. The stuff that was going on with Ric Flair, you know, I thought that was a decent little rub for what it was worth, mixing Charlotte in there and everything. You know, we never did find out who the baby daddy was, by the way. Remember that? Because Lacey Evans had revealed that she was pregnant. We never did find out who the baby daddy was. You know, where exactly that was going to go and all that. But, you know, just this girl, I don't like saying... And you've never heard me say, I'm glad that person's fired. You've never heard me say that. The one thing you will hear me say from time to time is, hey man, people get themselves fired when they don't do their job. You've heard me say that. With Lacey Evans, this is a very interesting, unique situation here. It's almost like a double-edged sword, so to speak, because on the one hand, you look at the stuff with Lacey Evans and you go, okay, the system, the writers, they all failed you right here, you know, from these areas, even with the whole military background. I'm very surprised that with Lacey Evans' whole military background, that they didn't say to themselves in WWE, holy we've got our own Captain America. We've got a real life Captain America right here. This is our own Peggy Carter. This is our own, you fill in the gaps, especially during this pulp culture period where the Marvel Cinematic Universe has dominated so much. I'm very surprised that with her military background, they did not try to do a lot more with that and spin it in such a way where, yo, this is a real life superhero. You know, bump the stuff that you're seeing at the theaters, operating behind a CGI and everything. This, chrome key background and all that. This is the real deal right here. I'm very surprised that with all the writers that they have and the crap that they essentially dealt her, you know, she went through so many repackages. It wasn't even funny. Awkward segments where she's crying and telling you all this messed up stuff that's going on with her. And yeah, I get what WWE is trying to do. They're trying to help you connect with this person and everything, help you invest in the character and all that. But, you know, this felt like maybe you were watching a segment from a Wounded Warrior Project commercial or whatever. You know, they execute everything so wrong. And then, very end, you try to go with a female Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, they were just all over the place with this woman, and in such a bad way. They were all over the place. It just, they never truly got this woman. They never truly got her. They never truly understood her as far as I was concerned. Now, that's the one end. And then on the other end, I look at this and I go, man, there's only but so many opportunities that a person can get. And sometimes it's just, you gotta know when to cut your losses. But if you were to tell me in 2023, Lacey Evans is gone and Dana Brooke is still there, yeah, I'm nodding my head at that going, how does that make sense? I'll let you guys marinate on that, but I'm looking at that going, you know, how the hell does that make any sense whatsoever? So, you know, as far as her leaving the WWE, I say more power to you, you know, because look, not everybody is going to have that mindset. Not everybody is going to go, okay, you know what? I'm in a position where my looks and all this that I got going on, I can easily just rely on this and keep taking this easy money that's coming in, and I can, you know, do what I need to do to take care of my family, whatever they need me to do and everything. Hey, it's all good, but I've got all this money that's coming in. Hey, man, I'll be complacent. And then there is, okay, you're 25 years old, you're 30 years old, you're 33, you're 35. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? You know, what do you want to do as far as a career path goes? Where do you see yourself trying to, you know, where do you see yourself being? You know, what would you like? You understand what I'm saying, folks? So, and you got some people, hey, look, some people, they don't want to rock the boat. They want to be complacent. More power to them and everything. But when you're Lacey Evans and you're in a position here where, you know, hey man, this is all about having more of an opportunity to be able to spend more time with my kids, being able to spend more time with my family, being able to give back to my community, which I love tremendously and everything, you know, and hey, you know what? I respect that. To hear that she plans on opening a local rehabilitation and community organization, basically like a Alcoholics Anonymous, and she's got this place that's gonna have free coffee and donuts, you know, get you some type of help, resources available for any type of addiction that you may have and everything. Teach women and military spouses critical skills that allow them to, you know, get jobs and, you know, follow their dreams, their goals and all that. You know, I respect the hell out of that. I respect the hell out of that. And the place is open right now. It's called Sunny Summers Cafe. It's open daily from 5 a.m. until 6 p.m. Website is up and running and everything. I think that's very good, what she's got going on there and everything. And right now, you know, I'm looking on their ratings, and right now when you go to their website, they're sitting on a 4-star rating out of 5. And I'm looking at one of the most recent reviews that says patience is a virtue, and we all must have patience in awaiting the opening of this adorable cafe. The owner is warm and welcoming, and you leave her presence with feeling of having known her for years. The vision and idea behind this visual delight will be worth the wait. Stay tuned. Okay, so this place hasn't even opened yet, and well, it's open now, but it seems like at the time that they left this review, it didn't open yet. Tammy Crooks in May 2023 said this. They gave a 1-star rating. They said, should be clear, they are not open yet. Still under construction. What the heck? I mean, you know that the place isn't open, and then you go out of your way to leave a 1-star review as a result of the place not being open yet. It should be clear that they are not open yet. What the hell? Come on, don't be. Stephanie Reyes gave it a 5 out of 5, and she also added, in addition to that, the food, 5 out of 5. Amanda said, Brittany is amazing. What a beautiful motivational speaker. Such a perfect way to start the day. Kid friendliness, the art is amazing. So, for those of you that are in the South Carolina area, it's at 7. And shout out to those of you, because I know we actually get listeners from the South Carolina and North Carolina areas. And I think, honestly, that's because of what all I had talked about with the wedding in North Carolina a couple of years back, the whole experience out there, and how I had appreciated the hospitality and all that. So I would imagine that reached a couple of ears somehow, but I appreciate that. If you guys are interested, you want to check it out, it's at 7 Robert Smalls Parkway in Beaufort, South Carolina, 29906. You can call area code 843, the place itself, 843-597-9893. And in addition to that, visit the website. Where's the website here? So am I reading this right, that the restaurant doesn't have, because I'm looking at the restaurant information on the Restaurant Jai. I'm looking at it that way through Restaurant Jai. It's kind of like a snail that grabs information from various parts and basically compiles it that way. Let me see here. I'm actually looking at their menu. Is this them? Is this their menu? Let me look at the address. Yeah. Hey, check out this menu. This menu is pretty good. So apparently they offer waffle pops, 1 topping, 1 sauce. Additional toppings is 50 cents. It's $8. There's a parfait, fresh yogurt, granola fruit. That's $4.50. Specialty donuts, $2.50. Pick any 3, $6. Half a dozen, $13.50. 1 dozen, $26. That better be some bomb donuts. I mean, them things better be jumbo, suckalicious for all them prices. French toast, $9. Double stack, topping sauce, additional toppings, 50 cents, okay? Biscuits and gravy. I love me some biscuits and gravy. $7.99, half order, biscuit. Whole order, 2 biscuits, $9.99. All right. Hot coffee, 12-ounce, 16-ounce, brew of the day, $3, $3.50, okay. Americano, $3.65. Latte, $4.50, $5. Machado, cappuccino, dirty chai, cold coffee, nitro cold brew, whiskey cold brew, iced coffee, frap. Specialty coffee is available as well, including vanilla ice cream espresso. Ask about seasonal coffee. Not bad. They got Coke, Sprite, Diet Coke, water, apple juice, orange juice, milk. They got milkshakes, pancakes, a pancake burger, panini press, bread, multigrain ciabatta or bruschetta. Meat, they offer bacon, turkey, ham, tuna. Cheese, they offer American, Swiss, provolone, lettuce, tomato, onion. And that's $10. $10.50 for the panini press. Grilled cheese, $5. A beef hot dog, $4. Side chips is available as well to go with that sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, $5. I think this is pretty good. Milkshakes, $8.50. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, seasonal. Pretty good. This is pretty good. So they got a pretty good basic menu from what I see here. So the direct site that I'm looking at, it looks like they built this site using my Shopify. Let me see what happens if I just do this. So that's going to break the link altogether. So when I hit home, yeah, so the way that you find this site, you go to sunny-summers-cafe.myshop.com. Again, you go to sunny-summers, basically that little dash, that horizontal dash line, sunny-summers-cafe.myshopify.com. Hopefully they're working diligently to remove that whole My Shopify part so they can have an official.com. Just take all that away and have an official.com. But you know what? Good for her. Not everybody will jump out there like that. I'm also looking at the Instagram page that they have for the restaurant as well. They've got over 2,693 followers, and the place looks pretty good. The place looks pretty good of what they opened up here. Looks like it might be part of a strip, of a little mini strip mall or whatever. I'm seeing seeing a picture of their sandwiches. Looks like they make it pretty good. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the sandwiches. Man, it looks like a very fun atmosphere. Definitely kids are welcome. It looks pretty good. I think that this will do just fine. I'm not just saying that. I legit think, you know what? The donuts look pretty damn good. Now that I'm seeing the donuts, I got to be honest with you guys. The donuts look pretty damn good. And if you were to tell me the donuts cost what it costs because these are homemade, like original recipes, then I would say to you, okay, then it probably is worth the money. So, but not everybody's going to be complacent like that. Not everybody's going to, bump this. I'm going to go chase my dreams. Most people don't do that. Most people just continue to just chip away regularly at, So more power to her. I hope she is very successful in this line of work. It sounds like, as far as maybe seeing her down the road with maybe another wrestling promotion or whatnot, yeah, she kind of strikes me as somebody that, no, she's pretty much going to be done. But I tell you what, if she is serious about doing that whole OnlyFans thing, she's only got a short window of opportunity to strike on that. Because if she wants to continue to fund this business, I mean, she does strike me as somebody that's pretty smart, store all her money away, especially with what she did in the military and all of that. But, if you want to make sure that you're definitely financially comfortable, I know she kind of teased the idea of possibly doing OnlyFans. Here's the only thing to that. Is you got to be very, very careful with that, because if you do the OnlyFans and now people know that you have this cafe and that from time to time you'll appear there, last thing you need is some sick mofos that's going to be stalking that place. And then, right, especially those that's buying the OnlyFans stuff, they get these weird, like, I remember there was this girl. Her name was Irish MJ or MJ Pog. Nice, fine looking actress model. Her trademark, she was in her 30s at the time, and her trademark was she would show off her butt in the weirdest places. Maybe she'd be at a friend's house, she'd be using their bathroom, she'd have on these nice jeans and she would show them off, show her ass off. Or maybe she'd be at a Walmart, she'd go to the restroom there, show her ass off. Maybe she's doing laundry, she shows her ass off. She was basically a ass fetish model, okay? And she ended up, from what I understand, the legend story that's out there is she ended up stopping all of that because there was a group of guys that somehow have found out not only where she worked but where she lived, and they were trying to see about if they could have a rendezvous with her for sex and all that, and it freaked her the hell out. Now, she's still alive, but it freaked her the hell out. And you know how she was able to get away from that unscathed and all of that, your guess is as good as mine. But she stopped modeling after that. So my biggest fear, my piece of advice to Lacey Evans is, you know, I know you kind of teased the idea when it was brought to you about OnlyFans, but you may want to just tread lightly, and you know, because you're gonna put yourself in a very delicate situation there, with some creepy SOBs, and heaven forbid you have creepy SOBs that call your cafe looking for you, calling all around the clock when the calls, you know, the phone line could be freed up to do orders and other stuff and all that. So it's a very, you know, I know some fans out there that mean well, they be willing to support her with the OnlyFans and all that. You know, but you got to be very particular about this. I think the way that you need to do this OnlyFans is you can't go nude. That's the thing. You can't go nude. You can't do any raunchy videos. Definitely no videos playing with yourself and all that other crap. And I think it has to be a situation where, you know, any money that is donated, you know, anybody that chips in for an OnlyFans account, the money is basically 100% of the proceeds is going to the cafe, which basically is going to help out. I think if it's organized in that type of a way, structured in that type of a way, then, and Lacey Evans seems like a very, very smart woman to me. I may not agree with her on all her political stances, religious stances, vaccination, and a few other things, but I'll give the devil credit where it's due. She seems like a very educated, resourceful woman. I would like to believe that she's definitely going to be very cautious about this and be very strategic about how she wants to try and execute this, right? So we'll see. We'll see in due time if that OnlyFans is going to come to fruition or not. But you know what? There's always going to be some sick out there, like the one guy that was with Cora Jade earlier. So yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. You guys got a nice deluxe edition. I hope you guys appreciate it, because we normally don't go this long. You got about 2 hours 52 minutes of a show. I'm gonna have fun mixing this down later. So your next edition is gonna be coming at you guys on Wednesday, August 22nd, 2023. After after WWE, no, after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. We'll get into talk of Dynamite. We'll go over the Wembley All-In card, preview, predictions, whole 9 yards, go a little bit more all over the place on wrestling-related news, and so much more. Meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, and I cannot stress it enough, could definitely use all the help. If you enjoyed this, share the love. You're watching via YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe. When you hit the like, first of all, it's free. Only takes 1/2, if even that, of a second to hit the like button. But when you do that, you supercharge content like this. You help put more eyeballs on the content, which thus helps the community grow even more, especially as far as video recommendations. So please smash the hell out of that like button and support the show on demand and on the downloads. We're all over the place. We've got the Spotify, we've got Stitcher, or actually no, Stitcher, they're going to be done by next week. So actually we've got Spotify, we've got Spreaker, we've got Alexa, Amazon, Apple Music. We're all over the place. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show. Leave the ratings and reviews over there as well. You can get at me on the X Twitter at the RCWR show, Facebook at the RCWR show as well. Until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you all next go round. Adios, y'all. Take care.